I'm here today with Ronald Piers from the European Commission DG Energy in Brussels. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for updating us today on the most recent developments of the eco-design regulation for electric motors.
Sure.
It has taken 4 years to come up with a new draft for the electric motor regulation. May I ask why it lasted so long?
Sure. Eco-design is intrinsically a complex and long process. It is divided in a certain number of steps, and we have to go through each of these steps. And the reason is that we must first acquire the scientific evidence that allows us to make a regulation. We need also to have enough contact with all stakeholders to understand what would be the impact on them and what are their views. And so all this takes time, is very structured. There are some legal obligations. We have to organize a consultation forum with stakeholders. We have to do an impact assessment. We have to do inter-service consultation with the Commission. We have to discuss with the member states who will vote. So it's a long process. And in addition to that, in the case of the motors regulation, when I started 2 years ago, I wanted to take ownership of this file, meaning I wanted to need the time to understand exactly what is at stake to make sure that what we are proposing makes sense.
Are you satisfied with the new draft of the regulation on electric motors?
Yes, I am satisfied, since this is a draft that we have produced after this long process of scientific investigation, discussing with stakeholders. So I think it really reflects well the state of the art and various point of view of the different stakeholders, and I think it's a good piece of legislation. Of course, we are now in a consultation phase where we are receiving comments, so there are a few elements that we can improve, and then we will discuss with the member states, and they will also tell us their views. But I think it's a very good draft, a good starting point for these discussions.
So by when can we expect this latest draft to be published and enforced?
We are in the final stages now, so we are having in parallel a feedback mechanism by which we receive stakeholder comments and also WTO consultation. We will consolidate the comments, and we will have our meeting with the member states to discuss the draft and the comments we received, and member states will vote. So they will decide if there is any discussion. They will decide in the end what goes out, and this will take place in January. And from there, the legislative process will go on. We will have scrutiny from the Parliament and the Council. This is how it has to be. So meaning that possibly by the summer, we could have the regulation adopted and published. But it depends on the success also on all these steps.
And so you are also working on the regulation for pumps, compressors, and fans. What's the timeline there?
For these products, we are well advanced. We have done a big part of the scientific research that is needed to make a regulation. I mean, in fact, for these products, some of them we are revising, so we are improving the regulation. For the compressor, it's a new regulation. There are different stages of progress. So the first regulation that will be ready is probably the fans. But now we are working with packages of regulation. So the motor regulation, the revision is part of the package with other regulation that will go through this process that I just described. The regulation you just mentioned, the pumps, the compressors and the fans, will be part of the next package. So we are working on these 3 product groups so that they will be part of the next package. And of course, as I said, there are a lot of uncertainties because this process is so long and so complex, but if everything goes well, we can expect a regulation for these products in 2020.
Yeah. So in your view, what impact will have these revisions and the new regulation on compressors on the market?
What we see with eco-design and also energy labeling is that this regulation introduce a very significant market transformation of the product. So we have seen this for example, for motors, and we expect to see this also for the products that will that are being revised, also for the compressor. The compressor has never been regulated, so the new regulation will really introduce deep market transformation, and we expect also now for the pumps and the fans we are revising, so we are going one step further, increasing the requirements, also having a more global approach, where we try also to consider not only a pump but also the motor, the drive, so that we have let's say this system approach and make sure that the components match together. But we have still some work to do in that direction, but this is what we hope to do.
Will we see you at the E-Modes convention in Tokyo in the fall of 2019, announcing a new regulation on electric motors and emission converter standards?
Whether I will be there in Tokyo next year, I cannot predict, but I think it will be a good thing if I will be there. And hopefully by then the motors regulation will be adopted, so I will be able to announce it. And of course, we hope that the converters will be included in the regulation, and that it will be regulated. It's also a new thing. Converters have not been regulated, and I think we can improve the standards progressively for the converters.
Thank you.
Thank you
for your time.
Thank you.